write a book. I have so many things that, obviously were very influential with me. I went into coaching, and I got to say that probably Dave Yeager and Coach Picasa and Coach Cal and Mike Pops and Johnny Walker had more influence on me doing that than anybody else. But I remember my first time getting to know about Brother Rice football, and it was my older brother Mike, who did not play. He was more of a, I think he was intimidated being the oldest of 6 boys, but he didn't play. But he'd come home and tell me about this guy who was the history teacher, and he couldn't pronounce his name right. He said his name is Elfra Fracassa. And we'd sit in our bed, bunk bed at night, and he'd tell me about Elfra Fracassa. And it literally, I would keep this a family show, but it scared the hell out of me. And I can remember Jay, we played at St. Bede's, and Ted before us. We weren't, scaring anybody with our football prowess as a team. But we would ride back. We practiced at Lathrop School, and we talked, you think we can make it? You think we would talk to each other in the summer? I guess you got to go try out. And, we were worried we wouldn't even make the team. And literally there was about 100 kids. And it scared the hell out of me to the point where I said, I love football. I'm going to do anything I can. And thankfully, Dave Yeager saw I was a little nuts and, took a little bit of a shine to me and said, I think this guy can do something. And Jay and, we had a great group of players, and the rest is kind of history for me. But, it's just one of these things that is just had such an impression on me. I had, my brothers who succeeded me played on state championship teams. And they said, Dan, your team was the best and the closest. And I, like, Dave, who's been such a great influence on me, I obviously our coaching was phenomenal. But I think it was our leadership from our players. And, being a coach all the years that I had, the coach can do so much, but then it's the team that kind of absorbs the coach. And in the course of a season, you want to turn your team over to the players. Because if you're always have to have the whip out as the coach, and your team doesn't learn and the leadership doesn't come from within, then you have difficulties. And I think, Ted and Kevin and Tommy in their own individual ways, and Kevin talking about the meeting that he had and about how we weren't going to drink and we were going to take the pledge and we were going to do a lot of those things, that was powerful for us. I tell my team, your leadership is never neutral, your influence. It's either positive or negative. And we had tremendous positive influence. And for me personally, Ted went over, and even though he was number 67 on punt return, he made it, and he was a hell of a player. I remember going and watching him when he was a sophomore, when we were freshmen, and here's 67 back there, and the guy I kind of idolized from my school. He's a hell of a baseball player in growing up, and this guy caught every punt. I know he's probably scared if he didn't, but he caught every punt, he did everything. And then, when I'd see him, he'd have a positive word for me. Like, Dan, you can do this. You can, and it's just having somebody that very well be that encouraging to you. It gave you the help, to just go on. And I just remember playing with him. He was, other than Jimmy, who we played against, Ted was the best player I ever came across. I remember I was a defensive end. I was kind of big as a 7th grader. I wasn't very good, but I missed a tackle or something. And here comes this hurricane, and Ted came and blew this guy up, and it was like, whoa, And again, scares you a little bit, but it's like, hey, there's an example of somebody who's going all out. And he continued to be that for me at Brother Rice, as well as Tommy and Kevin. But Ted was from my school, and I thought about that. Obviously, just had a huge impression on me. I've had the ability to go, through being a coach for so many years. So I talked to Pat Caputo, and I've gotten to be pretty good friends. And he wrote the article on us. And Pat went to Groves. He knew Tommy real well from baseball, and we were talking just the other day. And he thought they had a pretty good team at Groves. And he goes, after I saw you guys, you walked out on our field in the pregame and you came out, guys side by side, and you had short haircuts And he goes, you guys were like rock stars to me. He goes, I wanted to go over and punch my coach after I saw you guys walk on the field. And I just thought, and he says, you guys were just, it was incredible at what it could be. And I obviously full marks to Coach. Like he set that example for us. He coached Dave at Shrine. It was just kind of one of those things. And then, getting to go on and play on some pretty bad college teams, I realized how fortunate I was to have an example of somebody who made the game special, who made the game fun. Coaches, I should say, but Coach Fracassa, Coach Yeager in a personal sense, they made it fun. I mean, it wasn't, the hard work was part of it, but man, there was a lot of joy. And the last thing I'll just say, my wife, who you guys passed away, she came to our last social event 10 years ago or whatever, and she walked in the room. We had a little function over at Country Day where I work, and she brought some food in, and later I talked to her, and she says, Dan, you guys all pick up with each other like you never stopped knowing each other, like nobody went off and raised their family. He goes, you guys are like brothers. I said, yep, that's a tribute to, our coaches, and I believe what makes football the greatest game of all. Just the things that you learn, like Terry mentioned about faith and family and all those things that are important. That's in the game. That's in the game. And we had the greatest, Coach Alfred Fracassa, who taught us all that. Coach, thank you.